this now. A total shutdown of the country's ports is planned for tomorrow. Members of the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union will be downing tools. One of their grievances is the salary discrepancy between black and white port workers. For more on this now, we're joined by SATAWU spokesperson Zanele Sabela. Zanele, thank you so much for joining us. The strike, obviously for you, is a last resort after talks that your union has had with the Transnet National Ports Authority. One of the main grievances there, speaking about a discrepancy between white and black port workers, and as you rightly state in your statement, that considering 25 years into democracy, you're dealing with an employer that cannot even ensure that all port workers are paid the same amount of money. How far have you pushed this issue with them, and why have you decided to down tools?
It's been going on for quite a while. We've been negotiating with them for quite a while. And so last week, in the last one, we actually had 2 meetings. After a certificate was issued that we can go on strike, they said to us, no, wait, to put off the strike, let's negotiate. So we had meetings, like 2 very robust meetings. And last week we said to them, you know what, if you are not willing to do it now, let's get a third party, an independent third party, to come in here, investigate this issue, and then make recommendations, and then we'll move on with this. That wasn't, they weren't willing to do that. So unfortunately, we don't have another option but to go on strike. The workers on the ground have had enough, and they actually want to go on strike, and this is why we've taken the step that we have.
It would be quite shocking to people that in 2019 there are people that do the same amount of work and they're being paid different amounts of money based on the color of their skin. Did you put this to Transnet Ports Authority, and what did they say?
Transnet Port Authority actually admits that they are aware of these salary discrepancies. And in extreme cases, you'll find that there's a margin as much as 500,000 per year between, black and white workers. So it's quite severe, and it's unwarranted given where we are at this point in time. We still can't be having this apartheid kind of situation.
What was the reason for that discrepancy not being sorted out?
I have no idea. We have no clue at this point, because it needs to be sorted out. They are aware of it, and it needs to be sorted out. So this is why. And
the workers must be aware of it as well, and it must be causing quite a bit of tension amongst colleagues.
It is causing quite a bit of tension, and you'll understand that these people are people with scarce skills, because in your ports you can't just have a stampede. You need to have people that know what they're doing. You have pilots there. These are the people that move the ships from the ocean into the ports. You have the tug masters who help them along with that, driving the little ship that navigates through, and then you have the marine engineers who are responsible for the engines, operating the engines, maintaining the ship, and the harbour machinery. Basically, these are very specialized workers, and they do need to be paid what's due to them.
So the salary discrepancy is one thing. What are some of your other issues that you've brought to their attention?
The salary discrepancy is the issue.
Okay, so that is the main issue that you've come to the table with. Now, you've explained some of those very important skills that your members have in the country's ports. And if you think about it closely, this shutdown tomorrow could have a major impact on the country's economy, because you're looking at shutting down a number of ports where a number of ships carrying very important goods come in and out on the hour, every hour.
So basically, it's all the 8 ports across the coastal ports, that is. And you do have a situation where at each port, in a space of 2 hours, you actually move about 3 ships. And on average, when you look at the goods that are being carried, there's about 4 million per vessel. That's on average. And so when you look at that, and you look at the fact that there's 8 in that 2-hour interval, a strike is actually going to be very expensive. And we're still waiting. There's still time for the employer to call us and come back to the table and make a very meaningful gesture towards us and actually say, we will address this. If they do not, if we go as far as next week on the 3rd of June, then we're going to have to ask the rest of the staff at TNPA to actually join the strike.
So you're looking at your members downing tools. What number are we speaking about in terms of the staff in each of those ports, and what kind of impact will that have? Would the ports be able to go ahead with their day-to-day work without your members?
Well, our position is that there's not going to be any work happening tomorrow. So you have, currently there's 400 people who are working in this particular situation that we're talking about, and our members are about 300. So literally 300 as opposed to all the 400 people, you'll see that very little, if anything, because I know that Transnet has been saying that they'll be able to, they've made plans, but we don't foresee that.
One would think that there are other stakeholders involved here, companies that use the ports and who get serviced through the services provided by Transnet, and of course at a higher level government. Have we heard from those two stakeholders in the story yet, or have you kept it just between your union and Transnet?
We haven't had anything at this point in time. We are speaking to our federation to address this with government, but as yet we haven't had any feedback.
Okay, so you're saying, just in closing, that your lines are still open to negotiate with Transnet to try and avert the strike tomorrow, but as things stand, your staff, your union members will be downing tools at ports in Durban, Richards Bay, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, Saldanha Bay, Mossel Bay, as well as East London. Okay, we leave it there as Zanele Sabelo, the media person for Satahu, bringing us the very latest on a downing of tools that is expected to shut down ports across